Look what we've got today. Yamaha's R1M. And I've got a cold. So, this is becoming a bit of a regular test actually, which is the whatever exotic luxury bike an everyday bike? And so I'm going into London now. I've just been on the motorway for a while, and I will give you my thoughts on this 100% Jizz Machine bike. It is awesome. It is awesome. This is probably, I think there's another couple of videos before this on this bike, so if you want a bit more of a first thoughts or whatever, or other information, then I will put the link in the description. Let's get on it. So, the first thing, sitting on the bike, it's always quite laboured when it starts. The other R1, the standard one I had, was the same. It kind of, I don't really want to get going. I don't really want to start. This is the raciest road bike I've ever ridden. So we're trying to discuss if you want to buy one of these, can you use it as an everyday bike? And I'm going to go through some bits and bobs which will annoy you and which will be fine. They're a sought after machine. You probably won't be able to find a demo on one in a dealer, but you can take the standard one, because the standard one is pretty much identical to this bike, the M version, apart from the carbon fairings, the electronic suspension and the data logger. That's pretty much it. Everything else is kind of just cosmetic. Come on then. Obviously the suspension, it's fully electric, so it monitors all the shit. It's event based, it stiffens the forks under braking, it stiffens the shock under acceleration. It's got it covered. But if you don't like that, you can actually put it into a manual electronic mode, which is basically like a digital screwdriver. So it will just, you can dial in your exact settings you want, as in all the bikes you've ever had in the past, and it will stay there and not interfere. But I recommend you let it interfere because it's excellent. And as soon as you go out on a test ride on one, you'll pull away from the dealer and go, oh god, oh, because this throttle takes a while to get used to. I'm in A mode right now. We'll go into B mode in a bit. So this is like the default setting for full race mode, which obviously you need going into London with loads of traffic everywhere and 30 miles an hour. So, you know, fully race spec, of course. And that mode will take into account throttle response, traction control, invasiveness. It will stiffen up the suspension, do all that shit for you at a touch of a button, which you can customize to however you want to have it. Very easy, very quick, but there is a flaw, which is you cannot change a mode whilst riding if the traction control settings within those modes are different. That's because the wheel speed sensors need to stop to change, which is a bit of a faff. So if you're riding along on the motorway or somewhere where it's not easy to stop and it starts raining and you want to change the mode, then you're in trouble. But if you feel like you can't handle 5 miles until you stop to change the mode on a super sports bike, then in the rain, then you shouldn't be riding one. You know, just don't accelerate and be a dick, basically. So that's the first thing you'll notice, is the throttle response is, I wouldn't say it's aggressive. It is aggressive, but it's got a bit of fluffiness to the front, very first initial part of that aggressiveness. It's weird. Like, if you wanted to blip the throttle, this is the most aggressive power mode, and there is a bit of retardation there, which means slowing. There is something going on there, and you can definitely feel that it's not connected to there's no throttle cable. All these ride-by-wire bikes have this electronic ECU based jiggery pokery which manages it all for you and does what it thinks is the best thing to do, which is probably the best thing to do. So the throttle is kind of, you know, it's not easy at low revs. And what I found, I've had this bike for a few days now, it's less noticeable and far easier to deal with when it's buzzing right up high in the rev range. That's where this bike wants to live. Right, so now, for example, we can change it. So now we've stopped. We just literally, I don't know if you can see here, Mode A, Power 1, TCS2, SCS2. So that's power is throttle, TCS traction, SCS I think is slide control, which is this cool 6-axis high side, effectively controllability thing. It doesn't take you too long to figure out what button does what, because it's a bit like an Apple product, I suppose, whereas this main wheel, like, you get one button to do everything and you just have to kind of figure it out, whereas the S1000, it freaks me out going into the dash of the S1000. It's just like, oh my god, oh. This is very, very simple. And if you do screw it up, there's a setting on here that just goes return to default. Very, very easy. There's nothing you can break in here, he says. So throttle, jerky, harsh at low revs, you've got to be absolutely pinning it. So that's a negative for an everyday usable town bike. I mean, this bike will probably do near on 100 miles an hour in first gear. That's where the bike wants to live. It wants to live, if you're in first, it wants to live between, you know, 50 and 90. Now, I'm not going to criticise Yamaha for that, because I just want to clarify that what they've done with this bike is set the bar to make the fastest production motorcycle round a track you can possibly get, and I believe this is definitely it. They've done the minimum possible to make it a road-worthy, legal bike. And I kind of admire that. It's not like going, yeah, we've got a super sports bike and then off the road we've made it all soft and weird. Well, if you're going to make it mental. Make it good at its job. Suspension, again, is with this particular bike, because it's the electronic suspension, you can soften it, you can do anything you want, click a button, it's got default settings, you can go, you know, hard, soft, medium, all that stuff is all there, and it's very, very easy to choose what you want. This is in one of the hardest settings. I've actually put it in C now, which I believe is softer, so it should give me a little more protection on my body, because this seat is hard and thin. Again, it's to get that maximum information from your backside through the bike. That's why the seat is so thin and harsh. Riding position, it's quite a small bike. It does feel quite small. You naturally slide down to the front of the tank. The beautiful aluminium tank, by the way. It's not the painted thing. This is lacquered alley, and it's really GP look. I love it. Folding mirrors. That is definitely a plus. The 1299 Panigale, the 1199 had folding mirrors. 1299, no, they don't. And I've had the misfortune of dropping a 1299 in a van full of comfortable duvets, and the mirror, because it didn't bend, snapped the front subframe, the magnesium subframe. So instead of just getting a cheapy mirror, I had to buy a whole bloody subframe for it. So anyway, folding mirrors, very good for town. Squeezing through little tight gaps. This is good. This is good. So let's test out the mirror squeeze now. And try not to duff up my carbon fairings. Oh, jag in the way. So it's narrow. Good. Everyday bike +1. The mirrors themselves are actually not bad. They do have the indicators inside them, which I like. It seems to spread, other people can see them a bit better, I think, when they're in the mirrors. The gearing, for a town ride and commuting, it is going to annoy you, because you've got to feather the clutch pretty much anywhere below 20 miles an hour-ish, something like that. It doesn't feel like it wants to go anywhere. It feels boggy. And it's just, it just doesn't come alive until you hit at least, it doesn't even become particularly usable until you hit at least 5,000 RPM, which for an inline 4 is odd, but then I guess it's got this kind of cross-plane wank system. which does sound very good. The induction noise is nice, like that. Let's try not to get in trouble today. But gearing, you're gonna be kind of turning into a junction. And you'll think, oh, I'm in second, I'll go down to first. You're already in first. It's very, very long. I think it's the least compromising superbike on the road there is at the moment. What is this fella doing? You move over and let me out. Fuck. Oh, this guy's doing my fucking tits in. There are no things such as heated grips or any sort of luxury items like this, like that on this bike. It's not seen as requirement. Oh, this guy in the middle's a weirdo as well. What's he doing? They're all just illegal minicab drivers. So I'm still nowhere near where this bike wants to live in the rev range. You know, it's still not even in its stride yet, this engine. It's just, and you tend to just find yourself in this space a lot. Thank you. That you've just got to be going fast. You have to be going fast, which is fine. I love going fast, but you just got to be prepared. See, this turning circle is actually pretty good going through here. Pretty bloody good. You just got to be prepared to go fast and potentially and likely get into trouble for it. Because any speed you're doing on this, I think, oh, now I'm doing what, 25? I'm doing 35. A lot of things on this bike, ABS, traction control, wheelie control, lift control, slide control, they're not there to keep you safe. They're there to allow you to go supersonic speeds on a racetrack. Yeah, 20 miles an hour and below, you've got to be hand on the clutch ready and feathering. The quick shifter is excellent. It feels very crisp. It feels like it will never fail. Totally solid. You know, the Ducati one, the BMW one, they do fit. They have their own idiosyncrasies. This is like, yep, it's definitely working. It's always going to work. But it's only up. There is no blipper on this bike, which is a massive shame for me. It's my favourite toy at the moment, is a blipper. Now, I don't even now class it as a toy. I actually class it as something necessary to be able to ride and give you more time, ultimately. Less fucking around with the clutch, particularly on this bike, because you're going to be, you know, you're on the clutch a lot in town because it's like constant. You know, any less time you have to use it, the better. And I mean, even on my GS, I've got a blipper, and it just makes your life easier and better, and allows me on a circuit with a blipper to go faster because you don't have to worry about wang. And actually, it's got to the point where when I ride with a blipper on track, I never use the rear brake on track. I'm not skilled enough. But with a blipper, you've got the time to even contemplate it, thinking, oh, actually, maybe I'll apply a bit of rear brake here. That's what it gives me, the auto blipper time. And this one doesn't have it. And this is probably the bike that you will run out of time quickest on, because the next corner just comes up so fast, because this thing is atomically quick. I can't even tell you how fast it is. It is just Superman. Or Superman on Meow Meow. In fact, no, Superman's a bit happy. This isn't a happy bike. This is Batman. This is Batman on Meow Meow. That happiness point is quite interesting, actually. I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like it definitely puts a smile on your face, without a doubt. It definitely puts a smile on your face. You'll be like, oh my god, this is amazing. But in a kind of, ooh, you feel below. It feels like this bike is so far above my riding ability that it makes me feel like a bit of a loser, actually. And then you go, well, then you try and push it a bit, and then you're in danger of having an issue and falling off or getting busted by the rozzers because you're going too fast. And there is very little like joy, as in happiness joy here. This bike just doesn't feel happy. It's got a job to do, and it's like the prick if you, I don't know, play sports or whatever in the change room, and it's fucking excellent at whatever he does, but he'll never say hello to you, and he's just a bit of a cunt. That's what this bike is. It's amazing but he doesn't want to talk to you and ask how your day is. And I don't care, because if I was to buy this bike, it would be to do the job of being the fastest bike you can get. I'm sorry, it is, in my opinion. And everyone will be like, no, you should try a ZZR 1400 or a Hayabusa. Forget it. Forget it. This is it. And fast is not just accelerating down a straight road. It's corner speed. It's everything. It's launch control, which I still haven't figured out. I need to try and show you guys that at some point. I don't like it in C mode, I'm going to go in A. I want some more brutality. Look at this, the turning circle's very good actually. Because that's what you want on a £18,500 super sports bike, is an excellent turning circle. And I've got to say as well, this bike, not only is it a shower, as in you park it up somewhere and people who know what it is will be like, oh man, that's awesome bike. It's a grower as well. It does grow on you. I've had it for a couple of days now, and when I first got on it, I was like, oh yeah, it is excellent and very, very fast, but I don't know if I really like it that much. The more I ride it, the more I'm loving it. So is it a town bike? Is it an everyday bike? If you want to love it and enjoy it and use it as a town bike, you can. You know, it's not going to be the easiest thing to get on with daily. It's not. I don't know how many Yamaha are going to sell of these. I don't know, because I think a lot of people will be like, oh, it's just too much on the road, and they'll sell it straight away, and they won't get to learn to love it. Look at this shit. I hate this city. So I think you've got to give it a chance as an everyday bike. It's not, you know, I'm not going to lie. It's not. There's way more bikes that you could get to use to come in and out of London and not worry about it getting nicked. I mean, this has got a beacon shooting up into space going, steal me, because it looks ridiculous, and I'm actually really paranoid about coming in here. I've got about 1,000 chains to lock it up with. But, you know, it's little things like the rear sets are comfortable, the levers are good. Those little bits make it more bearable as an everyday ride, and you will get used to it, I promise you. Even with, like, I've got, you know, jeans and textiles over the top, clumpy, sort of annoying winterish clothing to wear on a sports bike, but it's fine. I'm not having an issue. It's good. So is it an everyday bike? It would be a shame and a waste to use this to go into work and just leave it parked in the rain and fuck around. This bike, I think it's an okay. Here's the rub. Here's the rub, man. It's an everyday bike, so long as you let it loose and do some track days on it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, see what it can do, and the data logging and all that amazing stuff, and to see how much faster and how much of a hero you will be on this bike, because I guarantee you will be faster. You will. This is just, it disgusts me driving around here looking for a parking space. And would you want to park this here anyway? Because people are just wankers with their scooters and they smash it up. My GS has got a massive 1.5-inch gouge out of the tank because some prick in a scooter couldn't be bothered to park properly.